Hello everyone, this is K-Hi, and let's continue playing Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup. Now last time Surf Red died, unfortunately to an ogre. So we're going to make a new character, but this time we're going to do it a little bit differently. I'm going to do this video more as a tutorial to introduce new players to the game, and explain what I'm doing in more detail so that when they eventually make a character of their own, they'll have a better feel for what's going on. So let's get right to that. Let's start a new game of Dungeon Crawl and generate a new character. This is the race select screen. I kind of glanced over this screen the first time I was playing it, but now we're going to have a bit more of an in-depth look at each race and the race's advantages and disadvantages. So, the most obvious thing about the differences between the races is their list of aptitudes. So that's what we're going to have a look at now. List of aptitudes. An aptitude is how fast or how slowly a particular race gets experience. A character might have a -5 is in an aptitude in a certain ability, which means that they get experience in that skill at an abysmal rate. They're not very good at that ability, and you're pretty much wasting your time if you try to level that up. On the other hand, you might have an exceptional aptitude with a skill, which means that you're really good. A race is particularly good at a certain feature, in which would be more of an incentive to put more of your experience into learning skills you're more apt with. So let's have a look at some of these aptitudes. I won't go through them all. I'm just going to go through enough to give some people an idea. Now, the first rule of aptitudes is that humans have pretty much no advantages or disadvantages with anything, which is boring. Every single game which is an RPG of some kind always has humans as being the neutral race which everything else is marked against. So let's start with that. The table shows the different aptitudes along the top. Armor, dodging, stealth, stabbing, shields, traps and doors, and so on. And you can see that humans are pretty average in all of those abilities. They have no advantages to hit points or magic points, and sorry about that. They require an average number of experience points to level up. Centaurs have lower aptitudes within these areas. They got slightly more hit points, but lower magic points. And, coincidentally, they require more experience points to level up. Where a human would only require 100 experience points to reach level 2, a centaur requires 140 experience points to advance to level 2. This experience required increases exponentially as the characters increase in level. So yeah, big list of aptitudes, and I guess there's nothing more to say about that. These are different spells, spell types. For instance, a sludge elf has high affinity with fire, ice, air, earth, and poison magic. Sorry, down here. Some races, for instance, the demon spawn, have less aptitudes with fire, ice, air, and earth. And the bigger the number, the greater the penalty or advantage. That sums up aptitudes. So for this game, let's go for something different this time and pick a Draconian. I like Draconians, so let's go with one of those. I don't care if you hate Draconians. I am playing this game. You're not. Live with it. Now you can see that since I picked this class, some Since this race, some classes have been greyed out. I can still be a fighter, a gladiator, a hunter or assassin, but the game does not recommend I do so, and for a good reason. Draconians have unusually shaped bodies, and don't fit into many different types of armor, as fighters do. To counterbalance this, Draconians have thick, tough scales, which means that they've got much higher natural armor, which makes them more suited for usually armorless classes such as monks or wizards. For this game, let's go through a different path and play as a wizard. Just a generic wizard which does not specialize in anything. Wizard starts off with spells, so I'll be able to explain spellcasting as well. Draconian wizard, name today Zappy. Yeah, that'll do. Alright, this screen should look familiar. This is the dungeon. It hasn't changed since last time, so let's jump straight into it. The first thing we should actually go to before we start bumbling around, running into stuff and getting killed, is have a look at our character screen. This is us, Zappy the Magician. He's a Draconian wizard. He has 12 out of 12 hit points. He has 5 magic points. He's carrying 20 gold pieces. He has an armor class of 5. As I said before, armor class reduces physical damage taken. He has a strength of 9, which influences hit points and damage dealt, an intelligence of 18, which affects spells and spellcasting, spell success rate and mana pool, and dexterity, which affects stealth skills and stuff like that. This is our evasion. Evasion is dodging spells, and I'll have to check up on that. This is our spells. We've got currently 1 spell memorized and 5 spell levels left. I'll explain that a little bit more in a second. This is our active abilities. At the moment we've got nothing under fire resistance, cold resistance, acid resistance, but we do have 1 point in control flight, due to us being a Draconian. We cannot fly, but if we were to drink, say, a potion of levitation, then we'd be a little bit... would have greater control over where we float to. If I press the capital A button, I can have a look at innate abilities, weirdness, and mutations. Since I'm a Draconian, they start off with mutations. Instead of skin, I have scales, which increases my armor class by 3. And my body does not fit into most forms of armor. So that's a good mutation, that's a bad mutation. These are starting mutations, and there's no way of getting rid of them. There are ways to gain mutations in this game, not all of them beneficial. In fact, most of them are actually quite detrimental and will make the game a lot harder. But I'll cover that once I get to it. Okie dokie, so let's now have a look at spells. Spells are a feature which is with magic users. Oops. Spells. Memorization. Since I've got a book, I pressed I to bring up my inventory. I've got a book of minor magic. Let's have a read of our Book of Minor Magic and see what's in the Book of Minor Magic. It's a book of magic spells. It weighs about 7 standard units of measurement. And it's got these spells in it. It's got Magic Dart. It's a conjuration spell. It requires level 1. Not only does it require you to be level 1, but it also requires 1 spell level to use it. Actually, it doesn't require you to be level 1, that's just its measurement of difficulty and how complicated the spell is. We've got Blink, which is a translocation spell, which is level 2. We can select a spell to read its description, to memorize it, or to forget it. So let's get a little bit more information about Magic Dart, since it is currently the only spell I've got memorized. Magic Dart. This spell hurls a small bolt of magical energy. Magical enemy. Yeah, let's hurl magical enemies around. It never misses. That seems very useful. A certain magic missile-ish Dungeons and Dragons spell. It has a power of 2 hashes out of 5, which doesn't seem so bad. It's got a range of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 squares. It does not make me hungry when I cast it, which is a good thing. Other spells actually do make me hungry when I cast it, and I'll need to start foraging more food in order to be a non-starving wizard. And the noise which is made by casting the spell is almost silent, which means that I can stealthily cast this spell without drawing too much attention to myself. Larger spells such as massive fireballs cause massive amounts of noise and draw enemies all to you, which may be what you want if you're a wizard looking to get into trouble. I can't memorize any more spells at the moment. Actually, I might be able to. Let's try to memorize one. Ah, yeah. Too inexperienced to learn that spell. That's fair enough. So yeah, I do need to be level 2. Okay, there's a scroll there. Let's start exploring dungeon level 1. There's a sleeping rat. Let's try to cast one of our spells at it. Casting spells in Dungeon Crawl is very similar to casting spells in other roguelike games. The shortcut key is Z. If I press Z, I get a little prompt down the bottom saying Casting Magic Dart. I can cast Magic Dart if I press Enter, but if I don't want to cast Magic Dart, I can pull up the spell list and select a different spell. Let's, for the sake of demonstration, pull up our spell list. I've only got one spell memorized at the moment, Magic Dart. Its type is Conjuration, and my chance of casting this spell successfully is very good. So let's cast Magic Dart at the rat. This is the little targeting box. I can move it around, and as I move it around, a straight path moves from my location to the location I select, which means that I do need to have a line of sight to something to hit it. Let's throw it at the rat. Here we go. I miscast Magic Dart. That's a shame. My chance was very good. I have no idea how I managed to screw that up. But whatever. I am very lightly contaminated with residual magic, which is a risk when casting spells. If you miscast spells or use a whole bunch of mana or are under the influence of a lot of the magic effects, you could be contaminated with residual magic. And fortunately, residual magic doesn't do too much, but it does increase my chances of becoming mutated. If I continue contaminating myself with magic, then eventually I will become mutated because of all the magic I'm needlessly throwing around myself, and I'm momentarily dazzled by a flash of light. But since the rat was 1 square away from me, it did not get a hit on me. So guess what? How about we try to cast Magic Missile again? This time we'll use the interface to do it. The interface has a handy little button here, which lists all my spells. I can left click on the spell, use my mouse to select a target, and then cast it at the rat. Die, rat. The magic dart hits the rat, but it didn't seem to do any damage at all. I'm fighting Super Rat here. If I right click on the rat, I can get a description. A rat. Wherever there are men, there are rats. Ratus, ratus. It's a giant rat. We are going to kill it by trying to continue casting Magic Missile until either he or us die. Die! Haha! Success! Zappy has claimed his first victory and is well on the way to finishing the game without any mishaps whatsoever. Now that used up a lot of my magic points. I've only got 2 magic points left out of 5. If I want to wait around and regenerate either my health or my magic by just standing in one place, I can press the little percentage key and I'll start waiting. Countless number of turns until either my health or my magic regenerate. If my health or magic are full and press the percentage key then I'll wait for 200 turns, which is not bad if I'm trying to search for secret doors. I don't think there are secret doors around here. There's ways of telling whether or not there are secret doors, but I'll demonstrate them when I get to it. I accidentally walked into a dart trap here, but it didn't do any damage. Oh, actually, it did do damage to me. I lie. It did exactly 3 damage to me, but let's continue on anyway, because I'm feeling needlessly reckless. By default, items are on auto pickup. I can turn that off if I want to, and will turn the auto pickup function off, just to demonstrate how to pick up items. To turn off auto pickup, my apologies, press Shift at. Oh, damn it, not Shift at. I thought it was something like that. Oh well, who cares? I'm not going to waste time doing that. I honestly have no idea why I'm doing a tutorial video when I barely know the game myself and end up dying in horrible ways. I've managed to get some ways into the dungeon when I'm particularly lucky, so I figured, hey, you know what the hell. If this is not particularly useful as a tutorial video, it might be useful as a source of humour. There's another kobold there. Well, not another kobold, it's the first kobold we've seen. But we're going to, as a wizard, try to slay it by throwing darts at it. So let's throw magic dart at the resting kobold. Pew! And I'm contaminated with residual magic again, because I miscast the damn spell. Die, you goddamn dirty kobold. The kobold is dead. Let's get a description of the kobold's corpse. A corpse. I can butcher it to produce edible meat chunks. Yay! It looks rather unpleasant. Yeah. Even as a draconian and not a human, I'm not too terribly happy about the concept of eating uncooked meat. And this meat is poisonous, so I definitely, especially do not want to eat this meat. Let's just ignore this corpse for now, and continue on our little exploration of the dungeon. Slaying enemies as we come to them by throwing darts at them, and then butchering corpses. This is a somewhat newer version of Dungeon Crawl, but in older versions you needed to have a bladed weapon, such as like a dagger or a sword, to butcher corpses, which was a bit annoying for classes which use maces, like Sir Fred in the last couple of videos. Now, the makers of Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup have made it a little bit easier. Characters now carry with them, regardless of class, a boot knife, which they can use to skin corpses. So, to skin a corpse, I press C on the keyboard, and then that butchers any corpse I'm standing on and turns it into edible chunks. Now remember, I can't eat chunks until I start getting hungry, so let's just wait until that happens. Let's pick up all swag while we're at it, and continue exploring Dungeon Level 1. I'll finish exploring Dungeon Level 1, and then probably end this movie. I won't identify the Fuming White Potion and the Scroll just yet. I'll hang on to them until I've got duplicates. If I've got duplicates, that means that I can safely use one, and then have the other one to use a bit later because it's still in my inventory. Now there are 2 enemies, let's start shooting them with darts. I'm out of magic points. I don't want to get into combat with the hobgoblin, even though I've got some armor, so let's just retreat until our magic gets back up, and then continue throwing darts at it until it dies. Or I die. Oh dearie me, I might actually die. I'm feeling lucky. Let's try to beat up the hobgoblin. Die! Yes! Yes, that's how we do it. Okay, let's rest up. And continue exploring. Okie dokie, let's try to get this done before taking too long. Now that I've given an explanation of what I'm doing, I'm not going to waffle on too much more until something new or relevant comes up. Reached level 2. Awesome. My magic points has increased from 5 to 7, and I now have the option of memorizing a new spell. I can memorize up to 6 more spell levels left. These spells I can learn cost 2 spell levels to learn. Let's learn Blink. Blink is a spell. Actually, let's not learn it just right now. Let's get a description of Blink. Blink. This spell randomly translocates the caster a short distance. It's from the translocation school. I have a very good chance of casting it. It doesn't have any power, since it's not an offensive spell. It has no range, since the effect is only on me. When I cast it, I essentially lose a choco's worth of hunger from me. A choco being a vegetable. And it's quiet, not as quiet as my magic dart, which is almost silent, but it's quiet. So I don't have to worry too much about it's attracting too much attention. Let's learn Blink. That seems pretty useful. In addition, let's learn Call Imp. Let's get a description of Call Imp. Call Imp. This spell calls forth a minor demon from the pits of hell. Seems pretty handy. Let's learn it. And let's learn Repel Missiles. The primary cause of death for me is stupid centaur archers. Hopefully Repel Missiles will actually do something against them, but I have my doubts, since nothing in this game ever goes my way. Die rat. Die hobgoblin. Butcher bat. Sorry, not rat. Bat. And continue on our little rampage on the first level of the dungeon. There's a rat there. This time, instead of killing it outright, let's try one of our other spells. Instead of using Magic Dart, let's call an imp to do the dirty work for us. So I either press the letter or select it on the list. And there it is, a friendly imp. Now I can have slightly finer control over what my minions and stuff do by giving it orders. If I press T on the keyboard, I can shout an order. I can shout at the imp to attack a new target. I can tell it to stop attacking. I can tell it to wait here, or I can tell it to follow me. At the moment, what we want it to do is attack the rat which has come into sight. So we're going to tell it to attack the rat. Go, son. Go attack the rat. Do it for me. Don't. The imp has blinked away. Coward. Don't blink away and leave me to die. Stop blinking away and leaving me to die. Well, that was utterly and totally useless. Let's just zap the rat. Huzzah! Now let's continue exploring, and we've found a robe. Pick up the robe, and not wear it, since we're already wearing the robe, and I'm pretty sure our existing robe will get jealous if we start wearing strange robes we found along the dungeon. Since it's probably just the same as our existing robe. It's not glowing, or it's got nothing special about it. It's probably just a boring old robe. Okay, I know this has gone on for a little bit, so guess I'll go back to just breezing through the first level of the dungeon, trying to make it to level 2 without dying. Alright, if I get tired of pressing one key... I didn't automatically pick up the scroll because an enemy was in view. Picking up scrolls and items takes time, and while that time has gone past, the enemy can make a movement. But if I want to enforce the picking up an item, I can press my comma key, and it'll pick up any items I'm standing on. If there are multiple items I'm standing on, it'll give me an option of picking up what I want. Let's zap the goblin. And ignore the mate. I'll butcher it. Zap the kobold. Lightning bolt. Lightning bolt. Alright. Gecko. I don't remember killing that gecko. It died by standing on the dart trap. How sad for it. But I guess that's the dangers of being in a dungeon. You're just going to stand on the trap, and if you don't have the fortitude to take the trap, then you're going to die. Level 1 is almost complete. You can tell that by all the dead ends being pretty much covered up by now. If I left click on an area on the map, I can quick travel to there. Ooh. More monsters! Die, monsters! Die, 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 die. Let's be reckless. Let's pick up all the loots in this part, and pick up the glowing spear. Mage is not terribly good at using weapons, but since I don't have a weapon anyway, let's wield our spear. We wield items by pressing W, and then it'll give me an option to wield the item I want to wield. In this case, I want to wield my glowing spear, so let's equip it. An uncursed spear of reaching. Impressive, I found a spear which was not only uncursed, but it had enchantment on it. Let's have a look at what the Spear of Reaching does. Long stick with a pointy blade on the ends. It has an accuracy rating of +4, damage rating of 7, which means that's my benefits to hit with it. That's the damage bonus it gives, as opposed to being without a weapon. And the base attack delay, which means that 100% means that it's an average speed weapon. Anything above 100% and stuff starts slowing down. A great axe takes a longer time to swing than, say, a short sword. Anything beneath that, and you've got the quick items, which can be used in quick succession without having too much of a delay between attacks. That would be like daggers or other stuff along those lines. Doesn't give me much of a description on my uncursed spear of reaching, although it does give me an option to evoke it. Evoking an item means use an item's special effect, so let's try to evoke our item. It said that would be overly suicidal. Oh, it's given me an option to stab it at somewhere. That's pretty dang handy. You reach to attack, I attack to empty space. That is pretty dang handy. Honestly, I never got a spear of reaching before, so this is a learning experience for me too. Got to find something to butcher quick before I die, and it also means that if any hobgoblins try to charge up to me and try to attack me in melee, I won't be overly defenseless with just my fists. Alright, that's all of Dungeon Level 1 done. Found some pretty nice items actually. I'm pretty hungry though, so I've got to start looking at... Correction. Very hungry, so I've got to start looking at butchering something soon. Found some nice items, found some unidentified scrolls. Got a fuming white potion, I have no idea what it does, and 2 permanent bread rations, which act as like a resource windfall. Okay, I guess that's it for now. Next time we'll continue on to Dungeon Level 2 and further adventures of Zappy the Magician. Thanks for watching, goodbye.